Today's story is one that's making headlines across the world. That's right, Rishi Sunak is the man of the moment because he's created a slice of history, the first British Prime Minister ever non-white, and that too of Indian origin. So it's an occasion to celebrate Britain's diversity. But I want to raise an intriguing question. Does that mean that Britain is more diverse politically than even us here in India? If you look at just the number of high-profile positions in recent times occupied by those from ethnic minorities, you might say yes. Not only do you now have a prime minister, you've had two recent chancellors, you've had home secretaries, you've had mayors of London, and clearly therefore positions of influence that were once seen to be white monopolies, that glass ceiling has well and truly broken. This doesn't necessarily mean that the British Parliament has changed dramatically. If I look at the numbers, it is white dominated. 585 or 90% of the 650 member parliament is white, and about 65 or 10% is ethnic minority. But change clearly has taken place in a dramatic fashion in Britain. Let's look back home what's been happening. In India, of course, we could say with justifiable pride, we've had a Sikh Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. We've had a Parsi, Rajiv Gandhi. We sometimes forget that. Three Muslim presidents, Zakir Hussain, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, and Abdul Kalam. We've had two Dalits presidents in Ramnath Kovind and K.R. Narayanan. And we now have an Adivasi woman in Draupadi Murmu. But the president, let's be honest, some would argue is more ceremonial. What about the nature of our parliament? And that's where questions can be raised over diversity. Just take a look at gender, for example. India has about 78 women MPs out of 543. That comes to just about 14%. By contrast, Britain has 220 women MPs or 34% of their House of Commons, much more gender representative. Look at the caste domination in India at the moment. The upper castes continue in a way to dominate Indian politics. You've got 155 of our MPs in the most recent Lok Sabha, or about 28.6 are from the upper caste Hindus, as I would say. In fact, 90% of our parliament remains Hindu. On the other hand, the intermediate caste, the OBCs, the castes that have been emerging, are at the moment about 77 or 14.2%, much more than they were in the first 2 decades of independence. So there is a shift taking place, but some would argue all too slow. We want to see more. Ye dil mange more. And remember, Muslims, while we've had 3 Muslim presidents, today in parliament, we have just 27 Muslim MPs. That accounts for what? About barely 5% of the total, which is much less than the total Muslim population in the country. And the ruling BJP, 300 MPs in the Lok Sabha, over 100 in the Rajya Sabha, not a single Muslim MP. So when it comes to our parliament, diversity becomes a troubling question. To my mind, I would love to see a woman prime minister again in this country with real executive powers, not a ceremonial post like a president, and maybe a woman Dalit prime minister. Now that, to my mind, would be truly a glass ceiling well and truly broken. Will that ever happen in my lifetime? Well, to be honest, when I studied in England in the 1980s, I never thought we'd see a prime minister of Indian origin like Rishi Sunak. So if the Brits can do it, why can't we Desis? Think about it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today Newsmo.